Namaskaram, I am Dilip, your math teacher. Today we would continue with arithmetic progression. It is a topic from NCERT syllabus for 10th grade. We would move on to exercise. Before we move on to exercise 4, we would just go through the formulas once again. The general form of arithmetic progression would be written as a comma a plus d comma a plus 2d comma a plus 3d, and our common difference d is given as an minus 1, so which can be written as a2 minus a1, similarly a3 minus a2. This is current term minus previous term, and our nth term of an AP is given by the formula an is equals to a plus n minus 1 into d. This is our nth term of AP. Similarly, the sum of n terms would be given as Sn is equals to n by 2, 2 plus n plus 1 minus d. This is our formula for sum. And this can be written as Sn is equals to n by 2 a plus an. And an can be replaced as L, which is the last term. So Sn can be written as Sn is equals to n by 2 a plus L. These are our formulas to be remembered in this chapter to solve our problems. Now we would continue with the exercise problems. Exercise 5.1, question number 3. For the following APs, write the first term and the common difference. So we need to write the first term, that would be A, and the common difference, that would be D, for all the questions which is given. The first sub question, 3 comma 1 comma minus 1 comma minus 3 and so on. Given, what is given here? Given 3 comma 1 comma minus 1 comma minus 3 are in AP. So this is given here. First term would be A, that is equals to 3. This is the first term. And common difference. Common difference D would be equal to a2 minus a1, current term minus previous term, that would be equal to 1 minus 3. Here a2 is 1 and a1 is 3, that would be equal to minus 2. So D is minus 2. A is 3. So our answer is, first term is 3 and the common difference is minus 2. Next sub question, what is given here? Given minus 5 comma minus 1 comma 3 comma 7 are in AP. So first term A, that is equals to minus 5. This is our first term. Common difference. Common difference D will be equal to A2 minus A1, current minus previous term. A2 here is minus 1 and A1 is minus 5, minus of minus 5. This is equals to minus 1 plus 5. This would be equal to 4. So D is 4. Our answer is first term minus 5 and the common difference is 4. Next sub question is third sub question. Given, what is given here? 1 by 3 comma 5 by 3 comma 9 by 3 comma 13 by 3 are in AP. So our first term, which is A, that is equals to 1 by 3. This is our first term, and common difference. Common difference D is equals to A2 minus A1. So this is our A2, this is our A1. So that would be equal to 5 by 3 minus 1 by 3, which is equals to 5 minus 1 by 3, that is equals to 4 by 3. This is our common difference. So our answer is first term A is 1 by 3 and common difference D is equals to 4 by 3. We would move on to next question. What is given in the next question? Given 0.6, 1.7, 2.8, 3.9 are in AP. So here our first term, is A, that is equals to 0.6. Common difference. Common difference D would be equal to A2 minus A1, current term minus previous term. So that is A2 is 1.7 and A1 is 0.6, that is equals to 1.7 minus 0.6, which would be equal to 1.1. So our answer is the first term is 0.6 and the common difference D is 1.1. We will move on to next question. Question number 4. Which of the followings are APs? If they form an AP, find the common difference D and write 3 more terms. We need to see whether it forms an AP with the common difference D and we need to write 3 more terms. Our first sub question is 2, 4, 8, 16 and so on. Given terms. What are the terms? 2, 4, 8, 16 and so on. So what would be our first term here? First term would be A1, that should be 2. And we need to find the common difference. Common difference D is A2 minus A1, current term minus previous term. So that would be equal to 4 minus 2, that would be equal to 2. So what is the common difference? If we consider A3 as our current term and A2 as our previous term. So that is equals to 8 minus 4, that is 4. So if we observe here, so the common difference is not equal. A2 minus A1 is not equal to A3 minus A2. The terms which are given 2, 4, 8, 16 and so on are not in AP. we can write because common difference D is not equal. Our next sub question is 2 comma 5 by 2 comma 3 comma 7 by 2. So these are our terms. So this is given. Two comma 5 by 2 comma 3 comma 7 by 2 and so on. So first term A1 will be equal to 2. Common difference D will be equal to A2 minus A1. So that will be equal to A2 here is 5 by 2 minus 2. So when we take an LCM, it will be 5 by 2 minus, so here we need to multiply 2 because of an LCM, it will be 4 by 2. That will be equal to 5 minus 4 by 2, which is 1 by 2. Similarly, the second common difference, if we consider A3 minus A2, that would be equal to 3 minus 5 by 2. So that is equals to, here we need to multiply by 2, so it will be 6 by 2 minus 5 by 2, 6 minus 5 by 2, which is equals to 1 by 2. Here our common differences are equal. So we can write as A2 minus A1 is equals to A3 minus A2. So since our common differences are equal, we need to find the next three terms. So here we can write 2 comma 5 by 2 comma 3 comma 7 by 2 are AP, or it forms an AP, and common difference is 1 by 2. So this would be our answer. So next part of an answer is to find out the next three terms. To find the next three terms, we know that we have already 4 terms here. So these are the 4 terms which is given here, 2 comma 5 by 2 comma 3 comma 7 by 2. So we need to find the fifth term. Fifth term is A plus 4 times D. So that is equals to 2 plus 4 times 1 by 2. So here 2 ones are, 2 twos are. So this is nothing but 2 plus 2, that is equals to 4. Now sixth term. Sixth term will be equal to A plus 5D. So that would be equal to 2 plus 5 into 1 by 2, which will be equal to 2 plus 5 by 2. When we take the LCM, here we need to multiply by 2, which would be equal to 4 by 2 plus 5 by 2, which would be equal to 4 plus 5 by 2, that is 9 by 2. This is our sixth term. So coming to our seventh term. Seventh term would be a plus 6 times d. That will be equal to 2 plus 6 into 1 by 2. So 2 ones are 2 3s are. 2 plus 3 is 5. So our sixth term is 5. Our final answer would be 2 comma 5 by 2 comma 3 comma 7 by 2 forms an AP, and common difference D is equals to 1 by 2. So the next three terms are 4 comma 9 by 2 comma 5. So this would be our final answer. Our next sub question is minus 1.2 comma minus 3.2 minus 5.2 minus 7.2. This is given for us. So given terms minus 1.2 comma minus 3.2 comma minus 5.2 comma minus 7.2 and so on. We would write our first term, which is A1, that is equals to minus 1.2, and we would find the common difference. Common difference D will be equal to A2 minus A1. So that would be equal to minus 3.2 minus, so minus of minus 1.2. So this should be in bracket because there are two minus. It would be plus now. So that would be 3.2 plus 1.2. So when we solve this, our answer would be minus 2. Similarly, the common difference with A3 minus A2 would be, that is equals to minus 5.2 minus of minus 3.2, which is equals to minus 5.2 plus 3.2. The answer is also minus 2. So we can see here now the common differences are equal. So we can write, since A2 minus A1 is equals to A3 minus A2. Okay, it forms AP. It forms AP. So now we need to find other terms. Fifth term will be equal to A plus 4 times D. So that would be equal to minus 1.2 plus 4 times minus 2, which would be equal to minus 1.2 minus 6. So it would be minus 7.2. Similarly, sixth term. sixth term would be equal to a plus 5 times d, that would be equal to minus 1.2 plus 5 into minus 2, which would be equal to minus 1.2 minus 10, which would be equal to minus 11.2. So similarly, the seventh term, would be a plus 6 times d, so that would be equal to minus 1.2 plus 6 times minus 2, that would be equal to minus 1.2 minus 12, which is equal to minus 13.2. So these are our next three terms. Minus 1.2 comma minus 3.2 comma minus 5.2 comma minus 7.2 forms an AP, and common difference D is minus 2. Then the next three terms, are minus 7.2 comma minus 11.2 comma minus 13.2. This would be our final answer. We would move on to the next sub question. Minus 10 comma minus 6 comma minus 2 comma 2. So this is our next sub question. Given terms, minus 10 comma minus 6 comma minus 2 comma 2. First term, would be equal to a1, that is equals to minus 10, and common difference, D would be equal to a2 minus a1, that is equals to minus 6 minus of minus 10, which would be equal to minus 6 plus 10, that is 4. Similarly, the common difference when we consider a3 minus a2, that would be equal to minus 2 minus of minus 6, which is equals to minus 2 plus 6, which is also equal to 4. So here we can write, since a2 minus a1 is equals to a3 minus a2, this forms an AP. Fifth term will be equals to a plus 4 times d, that would be equals to minus 10 plus 4 times 4, so which is equals to minus 10 plus 16, answer would be 6. So sixth term, a plus 5 times d, that would be equal to minus 10 plus 5 times 4, that would be equal to minus 10 plus 20, the answer is 10. And seventh term a plus 6 times d, that would be equal to minus 10 plus 6 times 4, so which is equals to minus 10 plus 24, which is equals to 14. So these are our three terms. So our final answer can be written as minus 10 comma minus 6 comma minus 2 comma 2 forms an AP. And the common difference D is 4. The next three terms are 6 comma 10 comma 14. So this would be our answer. Our next sub question is question number 5. So that is given terms three comma 3 plus root 2 comma 3 plus 2 root 2 comma 3 plus 3 root 2. First term A would be equals to 3. Common difference D would be equal to A2 minus A1, that would be equal to 3 plus root 2 minus 3. So plus 3 minus 3 would go off, so the D would be root 2. This would be our common difference. So similarly, the second common difference D would be equal to A3 minus A2, that is equals to A3 is 3 plus 2 root 2 minus, we would leave in a bracket 3 plus root 2, 3 plus 2 root 2 minus 3 minus root 2. So 3 will get cancelled, 1 root 2 and 2 root 2. So here it would be root 2. So the common difference are same here. So we can write a statement since A2 minus A1 is equals to A3 minus A2, this forms an AP. We need to find the next three terms. Fifth term will be equal to A plus 4 times D, that is equals to 3 plus 4 root 2. So sixth term A plus 5D, that will be equals to 3 plus 5 root 2, and seventh term will be equal to A plus 6D, that would be equals to 3 plus 6 root 2. So our final answer would be 3 comma 3 plus root 2 comma 3 plus 2 root 2 comma 3 plus 3 root 2 and so on is an AP, and common difference D is root 2. The next three terms are 3 plus 4 root 2 comma 3 plus 5 root 2 comma 3 plus 6 root 2. This would be our final answer. We would move on to the next sub question. Our next sub question is sub question 6, where given terms 0.2 comma 0.22 0.2 times 2 comma 0.3 times 2 comma 0.4 times 2 and so on. First term is 0.2. Common difference D would be equal to A2 minus A1, so that is equals to 0.22 minus 0.2, which is equals to 0.2. Similarly, the common difference with A3 minus A2 would be equal to 0.222 minus 0.22, which is equals to 0.002. So if you observe here, the common differences are not equal. So since A2 minus A1 is not equal to A3 minus A2, so this numbers does not form an AP. This does not form an AP. So this would be our final answer. So next sub question, given terms 0 comma minus 4 comma minus 8 comma minus 12. In this first term, A1 is equals to 0, common difference D is equals to A2 minus A1, that is equals to minus 4 minus 0, which is equals to minus 4. Similarly, the D with A3 minus A2 is equals to minus 8 minus of minus 4, that would be equal to minus 8 plus 4, which is equals to minus 4. So here the common differences are equal, since A2 minus A1 is equals to A3 minus A2. So this forms an AP, or it is an AP. So we need to find the other terms. So fifth term is equals to A plus 4 times D, that is equals to 0 plus 4 times minus 4 which is equals to minus 16. And sixth term, a plus 5 times d, which is equals to 0 plus 5 times minus 4, which is minus 20. And seventh term is equals to a plus 6 times d, that is equals to 0 plus 6 times minus 4, 6 times minus 4, which is equals to minus 24. So this is our final seven terms, and final answer can be written as 0, minus 4, minus 8, minus 12 forms AP, and common difference D is minus 4. The next three terms are minus 16, minus 20, minus 24. This is our final answer. Next sub-question number 8. So given terms minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, and so on. So first term is a is equals to minus 1 by 2. Common difference D is equals to a2 minus a1, which is equals to minus 1 by 2 minus of minus 1 by 2, which is equals to minus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, which is 0. Similarly, D a3 minus a2 is equals to minus 1 by 2 minus of minus 1 by 2 will be equals to minus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2, that is equals to 0. Since a2 minus a3 a1 is equals to a3 minus a2, this forms AP. And fifth term, so we need to find three terms. Fifth term is equals to a plus 4 times d, that is equals to minus 1 by 2 plus 4 into 0, which is equals to minus 1 by 2. And sixth term a plus 5 times d, that is equals to minus 1 by 2 plus 5 times 0, which is equals to minus 1 by 2. And the seventh term a plus 6 times d, that is equals to minus 1 by 2 plus 6 times 0, which is equals to minus 1 by 2. So our final answer would be minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2 forms AP, and D is 0. The next three terms are minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2, minus 1 by 2. This is our final answer. Next sub-question, given terms one, 3, 9, 27 and so on. First term which is a, that is equals to 1, common difference, d is equals to a2 minus a1, that is equals to 3 minus 1, which is 2. Similarly, the common difference with a3 minus a2 would be equal to 9 minus 3, which is equals to 6. So here the common difference is not equal, so we can write, since a2 minus a1 is not equal to a3 minus a2, this does not form an AP. This would be our final answer. 10th sub question. So terms, given terms, a comma 2a comma 3a comma 4 times a dot 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 and so on. First term, a is equals to a, common difference d is equals to a2 minus a1, so that is equals to 2a minus a, which would be a. Similarly, the common difference with a3 minus a2 would be equal to 3a minus 2a, which is also a. Since a2 minus a1 is equals to a3 minus a2, this forms an AP. We need to find the next three terms, that is fifth term will be equal to a plus 4 times d, that is equals to a plus 4 times a, that is equals to 5 times a. And sixth term, a plus 5 times d, that is equals to a plus 5a, which is equals to 6a. Seventh term, which is equals to a plus 6 times d, that is equals to a plus 6 times a, which is 7 times a. So our final answer can be written as a comma 2a comma 3a comma 4a forms AP, and common difference d is a. The next three terms are 5a comma 6a comma 7a. So this will be our final answer. Our 11th sub question. So given terms are a comma a square comma a cube comma a raised to 4 and so on. So we can write the given terms in this manner. And first term, a is equals to a, common difference d is equals to a2 minus a1, that is equals to a square minus a. So we can take a as common here. So if we take a common, it would be a minus 1. Similarly, the common difference with a3 minus a2 would be a cube minus a square. So we can take a square as common here. If we take a square as common, the remaining would be a minus 1. If we compare this, these common differences are not equal. So we can write, since a2 minus a1 is not equal to a3 minus a2, the given terms are this, does not form AP. This would be our final answer. Our next sub question is sub question 12. Our terms are root 2, root 8, root of 18 and root of 32 and so on. So we can write our first term. A would be root 2. Common difference. D is equals to a2 minus a1, which would be equal to root of 8 minus a1 is root of 2. Here root of 8 can be written as 4 times 2 minus 2. When we take 4 outside the root, it would be 2 root 2 minus root 2. 2 root 2 minus root 2 would be root 2. So this is our common difference. Similarly, the common difference of a3 minus a2, if we consider this, now a3 is root of 18 minus root of 8, which is equal to, so we can write it in a similar form, that would be equal to 9 into 2 minus 4 into 2, which would be equal to 3 root 2 minus 2 root 2, which is also equals to root 2. So here, since a2 minus a1 will be equal to a3 minus a2, so this forms AP. We need to find the next 3 terms. Fifth term, a plus 4 times d, which is equals to a is root 2 plus 4 times d is also root 2. So that is equals to 5 root 2. And sixth term, a plus 5 times d, which is equals to root 2 plus 5 times root 2, which is equals to 6 times root 2. And seventh term will be also equal to a plus 6 times d, that is equals to root 2 plus 6 times root 2, which would be equals to 7 root 2. The next terms we need to find, that is the fifth term, will be equals to a plus 4 times d, which would be equals to root 2 plus 4 times root 2, which would be equals to 5 times root 2. Since our answer or the terms are completely inside the root, so when we see our terms, root 2, root 8, root 18, root 32, everything inside the root, we need to find the next terms inside the root. So to find that, we need to consider this 5 inside the root, which would be equal to root of 5. When it goes inside, it will be doubles, so 25 into 2, so that would be root of 50. Similarly, sixth term will be equals to a plus 5d, which is equals to root 2 plus 5 times root 2, which would be equals to 6 root 2, and 6 when we take inside, it would be 36 into 2, which would be equal to 72, that is root 72. Then our seventh term would be equals to a plus 6 times d, which is equals to root 2 plus 6 times root 2, which is equals to 7 root 2. When 7 roots go inside, it becomes 49. So 49 into 2, and 49 2 becomes 98, that is root 98. This is our seventh term. Root 2 comma root 8 comma root 18 comma root 32 forms AP, and common difference D is root 2. The next three terms are root 50 comma root 72 comma root 98. This is our final answer. Our next sub question is question number 13, and given terms are root 3 comma root 6 comma root 9 comma root 12 and so on. First term here, first term is a, that is equals to root 3, and common difference d is equals to a2 minus a1, which is equals to root 6 minus root 3. So we can split root 6 into 3 into 2 minus root 3, and here it becomes root 3 into root 2 minus root 3, and when we take root 3 as common here, it becomes root 3 into bracket root 2 minus 1. Similarly, for common difference d with a3 minus a2, that would be equals to root 9 minus root 6, which is again equals to root 3 into 3 minus root 3 into 2. So that is equals to root 3 minus root 3 into root 2, where we can take common as root 3. Our remaining would be root 3 minus root 2. So when we see here, our common differences are not equal. So since a2 minus a1 is not equal to a3 minus a2, this does not form AP. So this would be our final answer. Next sub question number 12. The given terms are 1 square, comma 3 square, comma 5 square, comma 7 square. So here the first term is a is equals to 1 square. Common difference d is equals to a2 minus a1, which is equals to 3 square minus 1 square. So which is equals to 9 minus 1, which is 8. Similarly, the common difference D for A3 minus A2 will be equal to 5 square minus 3 square, which would be equal to 25 minus 9, that is 16. So when we observe common difference is not equal, so we can write, since A2 minus A1 is not equal to A3 minus A2, this does not form an AP. This would be our final answer. By this we end our question number 4 here, and also the exercise 5.1 ends here. Thank you for watching. I hope the concept is clear. If not, feel free to watch the video again for better understanding. Once you got it, keep practicing to succeed. Interested in online personalized math coaching? Fill out the Google form linked in the description to get started. Catch me in the next video as we explore more solutions together. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Spread the word with your family and friends.